Welcome to our panel about international cosplay competitions. I think we should probably all do a quick introductory round while we also test if the mics work. So, to my left, please begin.
Hi, not awkward at all. I am Samie, a Danish cosplayer. I have been cosplaying for 5 years. I've been part of the WCS in 2012 with this lady, and I have been part of the ECG, European Cosplay Gathering, this year in France, and World Cosplay Masters in Switzerland this year. No, last year. What year is this? Where am I? Past year.
Yeah, I'm also from Denmark, and I've been cosplaying for around 7 years, and my name is Josefine, but known as Joshua. And I tube in the WCS, and then I was at the European Cosplay Gathering as a solo from Denmark, also last year, and yeah, that's it.
Hello, my name is Maiju. I've been cosplaying for about 10 years, and I've been representative for Finland's team for Euro Cosplay in 2010. Yeah, thank you, Elina. Yeah, it was in 2010, and for WCS in 2012.
Hello, I'm Maija. I've been cosplaying from 2006, so that makes 8 years. I was last year the representative of Finland at Euro Cosplay Championships and got awarded with Judge's Choice.
And I'm Elina. I've been cosplaying for 10 years and was at the WCS with Maiju. And basically, I'm just the hang-around type of person. And today, because I have the least international experience out of these people, I'm going to be the one to work the slides and sort of keep things going. So, to start with, it's pretty important to understand that because we're from 2 different countries, as panelists, we sort of look at the international competitions from very different perspective. Because in the Finnish cosplay scene, we focus more on the costume. We favor costume competitions, we favor walk-ons, and we only have very few skit competitions that even we were supposed to have one here in Desucon, but it got cancelled because there weren't enough participants, and the same happened at YukiCon a couple of month ago. I don't know what is time. So basically we are really focused on the costume part of cosplay, whereas Denmark is focused on the play part. Yeah.
Yeah, well, in Denmark we mostly take part of the competition for doing show. So a good example is always to say that the Finnish cosplayers, you have your costumes and then you make your performance around your costume, whereas we actually most of the time have an idea for a skit, and then we make the costume work for the skit, to show it like that. So we like to go on stage and like do as theatrical performances as possible and have fun like that.
So yeah, that's for a background, because we will be talking about these international competitions and we will probably, be focusing on different things. So let's just get right down to it. We'll talk about Euro Cosplay first. Do the Euro Cosplay representatives want to do the talking?
Cosplay intensifies.
Should I read the slides, or do you just want to do the honors?
You can start.
Yeah,
We'll
just
carry
sit
on.
there quietly and look pretty. Is that what you can do? So Euro Cosplay is an European cosplay championship. The finals are in London, UK, which is the best town ever, and there are over 40 cosplayers from... I left the XX participating countries because we never got around to actually counting.
24, I think.
How many?
24?
24. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Many European countries. There is 1 participant from Finland and 2 from Denmark, if I understand correctly. They use judges, international judges from outside of Europe. This year they had 1 from Brazil, and was there an American judge or Americans?
Were Americans.
Yeah. So they kind of eliminate any chances of, favoritism by taking judges from abroad. The judging criteria is 40% for accuracy, construction 40%, and performance 20%. So, but I think in reality they kind of favor the costume over the performance, and the performance is kind of more like extra. And now you two can talk more about it.
Pitäisi sen edellisen slaidin vielä nopeasti. Also, most of the countries that are taking part in Eurocosplay, they do have spots for two representatives, and they use those 2 spots. But in Finland, for some reason, there hasn't been any other convention that would have taken up the 2nd spot. So for that reason, I guess we only have 1 representative each year. But hopefully there might be some convention that would take up the preliminaries so that we could also have 2 spots. I have heard some rumors about it, that there might be something like that happening in the future, but we'll have to see. And I think, at least when I was in London, the reason for why they use only judges outside the Europe is to minimize the possibility of drama or any talk about full play or something like that, so that the judging would be as neutral as possible, so that there won't be any problems with countries giving more points to their own country or their neighbor countries or something like that.
Speaking of judges, how well do you feel, or how do you feel the judging criteria actually apply in practice? How does it work? Because there are written rules, but there is always a difference in how they are interpreted. How does it work at EC?
I think last year it worked really well because all the judges were professionals, or at least 2 were real professionals from prop making and from costume making. So they followed quite literally the percent numbers. But there was also some critique that the performance part was somehow favored. But I think the audience needs to remember that also the performance is about accuracy and the construction, because when you perform, the judges can see how your costume endures, how you move in it, can you move in it, so they affect each other.
I think in 2010 there was some kind of criticism about the first 3rd places, because there was they weren't really that consistent with their criteria, because there were a few very good costumes, but they were that kind of costumes that looked really good from afar, but when you got closer to them, they weren't actually that good. But then there was this question about, was it the performance that put them higher on the scale than the other costumes that would have been better, even when the costume should be on higher level than the performance in Eurocosplay.
Well, how different do you think Eurocosplay at the finals is from what Finnish cosplay competitions is? What's the main difference?
I think it's in Finnish cosplay competition, as you said, is like a catwalk when it's costume oriented. So in Eurocosplay you need to have a good costume, but also a good performance, even if it's not that valued, but there needs to be one. So I think that's the main difference, because all the costume competitions in Finland are basically that you get judged and then you walk to the stage, take 2 poses and then leave. So I think that's the biggest difference.
So basically the performance can't just be something extra, it actually has to be a part of the costume.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, in EC I think that's required somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you only stand there, they are not going to give you the points for like robustness of the costume, how it endures movement and how well you have done it. So
it's actually nice to hear that it has moved more to that direction, because the first year there was performance with a costume that was a really good costume, but the performance was just something like kind of funny dancing that, for some reason, the persons who were judging and the audience really liked. They were laughing a lot, but it had nothing to do with the actual character, and it still got placed, and that kind of raised some questions once again, but it's nice to hear that it has moved away from that.
Yeah, I think the interpretation of the character has become more important, that you need to interpret the character on stage, and also the judges actually said that they favored storyline, or like story, there's something happening to the character. So
there's a bit of a drama this year because of the winner.
Yeah.
Who, if you don't know, the Dutch girl was cosplaying Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. The costume was basically really simple, but according to the judges and according to a lot of people, it was really well made, but it was billion times more simple than some of the humongous circus tents that we saw up on stage. Do you think that is a problem with EC? Like, should there be sort of a requirement for, humongous costumes, or thoughts on this?
I think it's kind of a problem with every competition, because often people expect that if you win a competition, then your costume has to be something really, really awesome and really big, even if the construction wouldn't be even that spot on. So, in my opinion, people often don't see the points of how a simpler costume can be better than something really big with 7 wings and 8 heads.
Well, also, like, you can't really put a label on and say you can only do big costumes, because how in the world we're going to compare a big dress to a big armor or something like that? It's just, you have to put it up, and as you say, and just look at how well made it is overall. And then, of course, if you do a big dress with a lot of details, you just have to be more keen on those details and just really make it work.
It's also very different from country to country which materials you have. Some countries have cheaper materials and easier to use, whereas, for example, in Denmark, everything is so fucking expensive. So, yeah. So it can differ very much how to make those big things.
I should probably say at this point that we've decided that if you have any questions during whatever we are talking about, you can just raise your hand and ask. Just feel free to use this possibility while we move on to the Nordic Cosplay Championship, which I'm going to be pronouncing Nordic because I am from the northern countries. None of us have actually been there competing, and there is an actual panel/talk right after ours. I have no idea in which room it is, but it's talking about the NCC representatives' experiences at the competition. So if you feel like you want to have a more in-depth sort of look into it, feel free to go there right after this one. But the facts are...
Samie and Joshu have been there as assistants.
Assistants, yeah.
As slaves.
Yeah, but they've been there.
They have some experience.
We've seen it from backstage, but...
Yeah. But the facts are that the participants are from the Nordic countries except for Iceland. I don't know why we don't like Iceland. Maybe Icelandic people don't cosplay. Don't know. It's a solo competition.
There's not many Icelandic cosplayers, no?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. They're smart people. Finals are in Linköping, Sweden, and judges are from the participating countries. And this is from the rules, a direct quote. The contestants will be judged on craftsmanship, performance, and likeness. Craftsmanship being the most important and likeness being the least. So, do we have any thoughts on this, dear slaves who have been there? How does this sound like the NCC?
Yeah.
That you experienced?
Yeah. There's not much to say about it, because it's still so new, so there's a lot of things to still figure out and how to make everything work there, but it'll get there. Iris. Yes, Iris.
Please, darling, speak up.
Well, I'm hijacking your panel, sorry. Having actually been a judge at the NCC and being the Finnish committee member, I can maybe shed some light on the competition. right now, I mean, of course, there's going to be the panel about the competitors who went there last year. So they're going to tell their experiences, but I can tell that basically last year at judging, we really did go by craftsmanship, performance, and likeness. It was really tough because everyone was basically pretty much at the same level. It was super tough, but we really did do like craftsmanship points, performance points, everything. So it does go by these rules, especially
Yeah, we do.
the new
It seems
rules.
fair. Like we agreed to, which seems
Yes, you won everything.
because our owners won. No, it seemed fair, and like talking to the judges, we got to know why these people won, and it made sense. So it's a good competition. It's just a baby competition in the sense that it's new, so they still have a lot of trouble figuring things out as you do in the beginning.
Yes, so that's the main problem that was there last year. Plus the rules were kind of, we were finding the balance between like finding all the differences between the countries. For example, Norway was a super surprise to me. I didn't know that they do a lot of live tracks, and I think Denmark does a lot of live tracks,
No.
like people speaking in
No.
on mics. I know it's banned, I think, in J-PopCon this year. I think I read about it, like mics being banned in the
yeah,
Danish.
they're bad, but they're only one group or something out of 20 actually
Yeah,
doing it.
But in Norway, a lot of people have mics. They just have mics and they do dialogue over background music, which was really weird to me. I mean, I haven't
It was
seen
something
that.
different, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different. So there needs to be a balance between the countries, which was not there last year.
Yeah.
Any questions about the NCC? No, nothing more. I think we can move on to things we actually know. Yep.
I think there are 2 or 3. Free. There are free. from
3
each
per country. So Sweden, Denmark, Finland,
Yeah.
Norway. 4 times 3, 12. Yeah, okay. The question was how many participants there are at the NCC. And we did the math and it's 12.
Yeah.
Is it 12? Ish. I can't count. More than 10, less than 20. Good. We'll get to the
With 4.
Yeah, we had a fourth one with us because we
Danes
had a
are
fourth
greedy.
Yeah, we have 4.
Danes are greedy.
Yeah, we
They
are.
had 4.
We take everything we can get.
Yeah, I know.
We're a
So-
small country.
My answer still stands. More than 10, less than 20. Let's move on to European Cosplay Gathering, which is a thing we are not invited to. Because I like to think that Benjamin doesn't like us. He's one of the organizer dudes. He's very French. Also true. There are 12 participating countries. Denmark is one of them. There is a solo competition and a group competition. I believe groups are 2 to 3 people.
Yep.
Yeah. And finals are in Paris, France, and points are awarded 10 for costume and 10 for a show. And the judges are all from the participating countries, at least have been in the past years.
Yes.
Please tell me, how is ECG like? How does it differ from stuff in Denmark?
Well, it's bigger.
Huge stage, amazing stage light.
It's such a shame that Finland is not part of it, because Finland would bring the shit to the ECG. Like, the ECG is by far the best international competition I have been a part of, because everything is fair down there. Like, you can get an explanation about everything you want. The judges, although from participating countries, are still fair and are still like you understand where they're coming from. It's not a big thing as we move on to the WCS, or it's not as small, if you can say it as that, like the EC, but it's kind of its own thing. It's like it's a Eurovision Song Contest now with cosplay. It kind of is, and it's really fun. I think we were there for 4 days or something like that, and you are part of the competition and a small catwalk, which is amazing, or something.
You start out the whole week with the party bus through Paris City with all the other countries, and you're just having fun and listening to music, and then stops by the Eiffel Tower and taking pictures, just having fun and getting to learn.
And we're not
others.
invited.
And you're not part of it. So.
Yeah.
So
Sorry. But it's a really good experience, but it can be hard because the solos only have 1 minute to make a performance, and that can scare someone.
yeah, it's quite funny to have a competition where you have both group and solos. So it's kind of like 2 competitions in one, because obviously the solos are not competing against the groups. But it's a great mix to have actually, and it gives nice like flow and things that it's not the same thing you're going to look at with the same amount of people all the time.
And it is a really great show. I suggest all of you, if you enjoy cosplay at all, just look up European Cosplay Gathering on YouTube, because they have all the past 3 competitions that they've had. The finals are on YouTube in full. We just watched them with Maiju the other night, and it was a film night basically. There is some pretty amazing stuff out there.
I have to admit, like the ECG we were at in 2013 is the best, by far, best cosplay show I have ever seen, and people are crazy around Europe. Like
It was so amazing. You could just stand there and go, whoa, what happened? What is going on?
we need to get Finland in. That's basically
we'll
it.
convince Finland to do it.
We're going to smack down the French and get Finland in.
I think this is a thought that just occurred to me, basically because ECG has such, amazing stage, and it is a great event. Do you think that kind of affects the people bringing their A game? Because EC is a bit of a small stage, WCS, well, we'll get to that. But ECG is kind of like everyone who's participating in it knows that it's a huge thing.
A lot of people there actually participate to be able to be on the stage. We did, like me and my partner, we were like, we need to be on that stage. That stage is fucking good. So that was why we actually went for the ECG instead of like the EC, because you can do so much on that stage. You have amazing people doing the lights and everything there. So being a cosplayer, you don't have that many opportunities to play around with stages and lights and everything. You have a pretty good stage. Pretty guys, it's fucking good.
Pretty good.
So DCG is a really, really good place if you want a good stage.
What kind of time limits do they have at ECG for performances? Because when we were watching the finals, I thought there were the solo performances were really short, which I thought was really good, because often solo performances become really boring and slow because often in
it's harder to do when you're one. The timing is 1 minute for solo and 2:30 for group.
Yeah.
And you can be 2 or 3 people in a group. And it's really hard as a solo to fill up just 1 minute actually with a story. So it's pretty good that it's cut down like that.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
There are other smaller, stranger international cosplay competitions. There is the China International Cartoon and Animation Festival. What? Do you have information? Well, let me get through this slide. Sit down. Down, girl. Keep your pants on.
That's because you're not keeping them on.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's the China International Cartoon and Animation Festival. CCAF, which is basically an Asian competition until Denmark took part.
The reason why there's only Denmark and the Netherlands right now is because we're the only countries who have someone who speaks Chinese speaking to them. That is the only reason why, because it's so weird having like all these Asian countries, and then last year it's like Asian, Denmark, Asian, like what? But it's because we have staff members who speaks Chinese and are able to communicate. That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
They want to expand and get more participants.
And it's a huge event. From what I understood when I was at J-Pop listening to the information talk about CCAF, whatever. It was CCAF, whatever. It's there isn't actually a time limit for the performances at all. So, and there isn't a limit to the number of people in a group.
No, they can be like 20 people.
20 people doing a 2-hour
skit
show.
Lasting an hour.
Yep. And they focus more about how you can be like the character, the costumes, and
it doesn't matter if you
no.
made your costume or bought your costume.
You can have people help you making it. If you just act like the character, look like the character, then it's just.
So it's basically just a huge anime show, live action anime show.
Yeah. Basically.
Did someone have something to add to it? No? No? Someone is pointing somewhere.
Yes.
Are you sure you don't want to let me finish this? Are we going to be a part of CCAF? Okay. Iris has stuff about the China International thing. Iris should have been invited to our panel. I'll hand the mic over.
No, I just want to point out about the China CSEF. That's how Mort told me it's pronounced.
It's not. No.
I have no idea. He said CSEF.
Don't
Anyway.
listen to Morgan.
Yeah. Yes. So basically, this year there's going to be a team Scandinavia going there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, a team
I should know
Benelux,
this.
which is Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Team Benelux and Team Scandinavia. So you probably have not heard about this competition before and are wondering why is not Finland invited to this? Because we're not Scandinavia.
Yeah, but we're trying to look into it and make it happen.
Yes. And one reason is that we really already have the connections to actually make it into CSEF by ourselves. So if you're wondering like why are not we invited, what is this, then basically remember that we're not actually Scandinavia and we're pretty well off already, so if we want to go, well, we could go there. If someone wants to organize it, please, because I don't want to. I already do NCC and WCS, I don't want to organize it.
Someone needs to be bribed with gin and tonics. Moving on to Cosplay World Masters, which is a bit of an odd one because I hadn't heard about it before Samie got invited.
I got invited.
You got
yeah.
invited. There's an odd number of participants from a weird number of countries.
I don't think they have like an actually, how do you say, there's no limit to how many participants can take part of it, and some get invited, and you can also fill in a form and
Yeah.
like applicate to do it.
Is it open to all countries? Because I tried to find information.
is.
It is okay.
It's
so
open
basically,
for everyone, so
if
you can
anyone
actually
wants
be
to,
part of it. The cool thing about it is that, for instance, last year it was held in Switzerland, which means that there are more Swiss cosplayers in it because they want to showcase whatever country they're in. The year before, 2013, they were in Brazil, I think, somewhere around the world, on the other side of the globe. But it's a solo competition, and it's not that elaborated yet. It's a smaller thing actually, with a pretty huge prize.
yeah, there are cash prizes, and I
Yeah.
think it's gone up year by year.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It was 750 euros this
Yeah.
year. At least that's what it said on their Facebook page. So basically, if you want to try out for an international cosplay competition, you can just fill out a form and hope for the best.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, yeah. And then there is the border cos, which is a thing
In Netherlands.
innovated in Netherlands. It's basically, I'm saying basically a lot, this is awful. There are participants one group consists of participants from different countries. So it's kind of like going over borders kind of thing. It was held first time last year, 2013, but I think there was like one group or two groups. We were supposed to go.
But there were actually only one, but they thought it was embarrassing, so they forced 2 other cosplayers, a German and a Dutch cosplayer, to team up.
And I think I love the idea. I absolutely love the idea.
It is a great idea. It's just hard to actually make happen.
It is, but it would be great. I still think we should do the thing we were talking about back when we were talking about it. Yeah.
Still needs to happen.
Still needs to happen. And then there's the Yamato Cosplay Cup, which I think is a Brazilian thing. And Brazilians are weird, so we're moving on. To the greatest dancing monkey parade of them all. The WCS, which is the biggest and longest running of the international cosplay competitions. It's gone on for 11 years now. 2012, the year when us people were there, was the 10th anniversary. There are 24 participating countries, but some of them are there just as observers, so they kind of like take part in everything but the final, and they're just kind of trying to figure out if they can actually afford to take part in it. That's how I understood it. The finals are in Nagoya, Japan, and the judges are sort of these otaku celebrities. There's always, Furuya Toru is always there. He's like token judge. He just is there. I think he grows in that chair. He's sort of embedded himself into it. There are voice actors, manga artists, singers, you name it. They're kind of big names in the scene. And each of these judges awards a maximum of 10 points for costume, 10 points for accuracy, and 5...
No, Iris, take your hand down.
Iris has a lot of things to say. 5 points for fidelity to original. And in our year, in 2012, there was the worst idea ever, which was an audience vote. So after each and every competition, audience members could raise their little thingies, and they were counted and added to the score total, which meant Japan won.
Japan won.
Japan
Wow.
won. Oh my God! What a shock! And their costumes were bought. So
It was like about 500 pieces divided out in the audience, and then papers. Sorry. And then for 15 seconds, these people had to count. Oh,
And then there
how
were
many
10 people counting these 500 signs or whatever was being raised.
So you can imagine how accurate that was. Please, Iris, please hijack our panel again. Come up here.
I'm so super sorry. You really should have invited me here. Yeah. Basically, this is kind of old news. Sorry. The judges mentioned here are the celebrity judges who only do performance, nowadays at least.
It's pretty new. though.
Yeah, it's pretty new. I don't think they did that in 2012.
They did. We were actually judged on our costumes the day before or something like that.
Yeah.
But they basically did this, the judges, celebrity. They got the papers from everything that was written down, like, yeah, so we want Japan to win. And that is how
Yeah.
our year went down. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
the story went like I guess the British organizer went to ask Ed, or who was it? Anyway, was it me? Okay, then okay, I asked the question from the main organizer. That's what are they going to do with the judges' notes that they took when they were judging our costumes, and how are they going to add those points to the performance? And I think the answer I got from the main organizer was that we'll show the points to the judges. And they will look at them.
We used an entire day waiting for just getting these costumes judged, and you really used a lot of time, and then you just, we're not using that anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of a...
It was more for a show, the whole costume.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that happened.
our year, but it seems like that 2013 they actually got their shit together and did it
Yes.
right.
Because it sucked in 2012.
Yes.
It really sucked.
And
Yeah.
no audience point anymore.
Yes. So basically, nowadays we're doing. I'm the WCS main person in Finland for this, so I kind of have to know all this. So they do the craftsmanship judging on the competition day, and it does take all day. And there are actual points for craftsmanship, and then the celebrity judges give points for the performance and whatever else they need to give points for. I don't know. Anyway, and then those are added up, and those are the points, basically. So it's gotten a lot better, because back when I was there in 2009, we just had the celebrity judges, and that was it, and we have no idea how many points we got. We were probably dead last, I'm pretty sure, but we never found out. So, I don't know.
I was about to ask that.
2013, they're a huge secret that I could find out, but I could not tell you.
Well, that's fine.
I have no idea, actually.
But I really prefer that way, I would say, because
Yeah.
at our year we had a huge point, the scoreboard was showing all the points, which suck when you're at the bottom of the freaking scoreboard.
Yeah.
Just get lower and lower.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
lower.
It's just a really, really bad way to showcase all the participants, because you kind of get like, well, fuck you guys.
Yeah, yeah, because there are so many changing variables that can affect the scores. Because our year, we're like telling you how WCS can be at its worst, because it was kind of
we
sucky.
had the worst years. It is better usually.
Yeah.
That's my
Yes,
guess. I
but it
hope.
was like our year.
It was because it was the 10th anniversary,
10th,
which means
yeah.
they wanted to showcase Japan and wanted to have. They had 5-star countries which
Yeah.
they were showcasing and making look good. So we
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 were-
used as monkeys. That is
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to remember about the WCS, I know Maiju is dying to talk about this, is that it's the big question of how it differs from competitions in our countries, because WCS is not just the costume competition. It's just one, competition is just one event during a week
And it's not
or
the main
10-day
event.
long. It's a summit, yeah, that's because it is a World Cosplay Summit. But it's more like a PR event. Basically, you're supposed to walk around and look pretty, and on the second to last day, you go up on stage and do your thing, and then Japan gets
So you
200 points and
shouldn't
wins.
go, yeah, like you shouldn't go there with competition in mind, because it's not a competition. It really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to WCS with your mindset on showing your craftsmanship or your love for the characters, and you want to act in character in parades or press conferences or anything like that, then you shouldn't go to WCS, because you can't be in character, especially if you have these stoic, cool characters, and you can't smile at all, because you are going to smile the whole freaking time when you are at WCS, even if you don't want to.
It was kind of awful when we were there. We were cosplaying characters from Last Exile, Silver Wing. We were wearing uniforms. We were these stoic army dudes, and we were told to give a big smile, everyone. And it was like, I am
It
a
was
murderer
amazing for everyone
in this
else but
series.
Finland. We were loving it.
Everyone else was loving, whereas we chose such wrong characters. Big smile.
But yeah, WCS has to be seen as a PR event. You have to
Yeah.
represent your country in the most positive way possible, and
It's kind of
not
showing that it's the point of WCS, as I've kind of figured out at some point, is to sort of showcase cosplay as this humongously entertaining, fun, quirky, sort of happy thing to do, because there were all these reporters and stuff
You
putting
get
cameras
to do
in
a
our
lot
face.
of press interviews. You get to go and see it. It's kind
Basically,
of like
you're just required to tell how much fun you're having and how much
and
you're
just smile
loving
and
it.
have fun and be cute. That
Yeah.
is what they want. That
Yeah.
is what the WCS is about. Like you go and by all means, if you want to experience lots of things, it is amazing. We got
It
to
is.
see so many great things. It wasn't
Mhm.
just stand there and it's horrible. It was a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you just need to be prepared for being a press monkey.
Yeah, and I think as a person from a Nordic country, I think we're a bit more stoic than people from Southern America or Brazil or Spain, or, you know, we kind of take things a bit more seriously, I feel.
To some point.
To a degree. So it kind of, for us, the change in cosplay culture is huge. So it's kind of like being thrown into an entirely different universe where people cosplay in an entirely different way. Because I remember talking to one of the representatives from a country I will not name, who asked me, why is there a costume judging? Why would they want to see inside our costumes? And I remember going like, this is the Twilight Zone. What is going, what? Because it's kind of, it gathers cosplayers from all around the world, and every single country has their each unique way of cosplaying. So it's kind of, you can't really have a fair competition
No.
like that.
That is the problem with having, how many countries is it?
24
24
participating countries.
countries where it's a different culture in every country. Just take Finland and Denmark,
Mhm.
for example. We're completely different. If you go to a Finnish show or to a Danish show, it's two completely different
Mhm.
things, in a sense. Of course, it's still about cosplay and everything, but it's just having so many cultures together, you can't really, like, what am I trying to...
Yeah, it's, you can't really,
Basically-
you can't really
You can't
sort of,
compare them. Like it's really
Yeah.
hard to go like because they're not used to the things we're used to, and we're not used to the things they're used to.
Mhm.
They're more into the idol thing of
Yeah,
cosplay mostly.
that's
you
actually
have
a good point.
to feel like an idol when you're
Yeah.
there. You have to wave at people, and it's really strange for us Nordic countries who are more like doing cosplay for ourselves,
Mhm.
whereas in Asia you do it for the public.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point, because it's like getting a bit sidetracked here, but this is relevant, I promise you. If you tell anyone in Finland who doesn't know you cosplay, that you cosplay, you probably get a really blank stare, and if they do know, it's like, oh my god, you're one of them. But I told a Korean exchange student that I cosplay, and she went wild. Oh my god, that is so cool! What have you done? What have you done? You have pictures. So it's kind of, like
It's
you
a
said,
difference,
the
yeah.
idol aspect of it. Because in Asia, cosplayers are the characters. They're kind of, in the parades, I think I really noticed it. For people who were cosplaying more well-known characters, people were really excited about them, like they were the characters. Not like in Finland, where like you have an awesome costume, but in there you're like, you're an awesome character. And I think that's one of the key differences. Yeah. Do you have anything else? Oh, we missed a slide. Entertainment event, we talked about this for last forever. And there is the final point of scoring seems to mysteriously favor certain countries. It's because it's a PR event. There are certain countries that have a big Japanese population, Brazil, and there are certain countries, I don't know if they're funding the competition more or what it is, because for some reason top 5, I'm going to name the top 5 countries.
Nobody really knows why they're...
Why, but
they just are.
Japan wasn't in the... Japan didn't get an award this year, and I cheered. I'm sorry, I'm a bad person.
They got a wig. They got a wig prize.
Yes, that was well deserved. But anyway, there's Brazil, America,
France.
Italy, France, and Japan.
Yeah.
Are the 5 countries that usually appear constantly in the scoreboards, like on the top, because they give out the top 3, 2.
Yeah.
It differs, and then they give out special prizes for weird things, like wigs for tangly messes.
We also have Thailand, who has a lot of luggage and helpers
Yeah.
helping them. We're just standing like 2 people from Denmark and Finland going.
But again, that's again different cosplay culture, because in Thailand you are, and in Asia in general, you are not one cosplayer. You are an entire group. You are one who makes the costume. You are the one who is wearing. You are the one who takes the picture. So it's always a group. So they're not used to us doing everything, whereas they do one thing in a group. So can't really compare it like that.
No.
Yeah, I remember one judge asking me, "Did you sew your trousers yourself?" Like, yes, because that's the point. Oh my God, you have actual pockets in them.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's was probably one of the biggest excuse me moments at the
yeah,
WCS.
it's like, it was an eye-opener.
Because in the Finnish cosplay scene, you don't have to, but we think that you have to make everything yourself, and that's like kind of everyone does that. And when you go to an international competition to be judged, and a judge asks you that, have you made those trousers yourself? And did you make those pockets as well?
And
you
he's
go like,
surprised when you say yes.
Yeah, I actually had one of the other participants, an Asian country, ask as well, "Did you make this costume?" Like, yeah.
Who made your
Kinda
costume?
yes. It's like, did you make yours?
I bought it from a store and then I took it apart and sewed it together again. In the true spirit of cosplay.
You didn't even have to sew it together again.
Spirit of cosplay. I'm sorry. We're awful people.
Well, I don't know how much we should get into that, but Japan won under some really mysterious
Conditions, yeah.
conditions with bought costumes.
But they were bought from the series production.
Yeah, again,
so
that's
it's
how
okay.
they were excusing themselves by saying that, well, they were bought from the producers who made the show, so they were still kind of in the spirit of cosplay, which is why. So it was our year just sucked. Okay.
I told these people we shouldn't turn this into a Let's Diss WCS
No,
panel.
again, it was more fun than bad. It's just when you look at how it was managed from all the
The organized-
managers,
yeah.
it is questionable.
It was questionable on a lot of fronts, but we got each other out of it. And it's like, it's basically, if you don't look at it from a competition point of view, it's, a huge summer camp where you go meet like-minded people and you make some of the greatest friends you'll ever meet. And
together,
you sweat.
smile.
It's like you sweat together, you smile together, and you're told to make the stupid pufferfish face. Everyone make a pufferfish face now, please. Thank you. Big smile. Only, I know it's hard, but just a few more minutes. So it's... But yeah, it's like... to get... It's good fun if you don't take it too seriously.
Yeah,
really.
just don't go there with, as we said earlier, don't go there with the competition in mind, and you will have one of the best times in your life.
If you go there with a
truly will.
competition in mind, it's going to be the
You'll
biggest
hate it.
culture shock in
If
your
you're from
life.
Finland, you'll hate it. But if you were from France, you could possibly still have fun because you might win.
Please.
I just wanted to discuss the cultural differences a little. In Asia, I feel that there's one more aspect that's almost totally missed in, for example, in Scandinavia. That it's how important it is to with pictures and especially photo books, because that's something that we don't have a lot of here.
Mm.
It's more like, this is my costume, I'm showcasing my costume, but for them it's much more important to maybe, like, almost like this idol aspect.
That is what we kind of got into with the idol thing. That it's
Well, that in itself is also like an interesting part of cosplay, and also an art that we don't really have here.
yeah. But I think it's nice. Like as we were at a panel in Denmark with Yaya Han, a big American cosplayer, and as she said, and it was quite an eye opener actually, that cosplay has no rules and you can make it your own thing, and it has its own like culture in every country. Like you can take it anywhere. You can use it for photos, or you can use it for like selling yourself like that with posters and everything, and
Yeah, like
idolizing it.
You can brand yourself, basically.
Yeah, brand yourself, not sell yourself.
You can sell yourself.
You can, but
I'm sure
why
there's a
are
market
you
for
doing that to me now? Suspicious. No, but it's a really great way to say that you can actually take cosplay anywhere. And she listed like, not that those are the only kind of cosplayers, but 5 different kind of cosplayers, like the social cosplayer, the competition cosplayer, and everything. And I think Asia has its own category, and we don't know much about it actually, like because we don't live in Asia.
And it is actually, I like the cosplay idol thing, and the whole kind of where a cosplayer like becomes their character, and through that becomes this kind of an idol that whose name you say, and people are just, oh God, she's so good, he's so good, and it's kind of like cosplay through photos. It's not like in the northern countries where we cosplay at conventions, like you said, we showcase our costumes in person. But in Asia, it's like, this is a photo of my cosplay. It's a beautiful photo. It's edited. It's an edited photo, and it looks good. It's a piece of art. Whereas I think Maiju and I have been talking a lot of times about how we kind of prefer our cosplay photos to be not that edited, so that people can actually see the craftsmanship of the costume, that we don't like to hide it with Photoshop
That's
or
pretty interesting.
lens flares or whatever.
Yeah, because we go for like, well, yeah, we do. We go for a very cinematic look with our pictures. We want it to look like something out of the series or a movie or something like that. So it's different culture and what you make it of. Like we have cosplayers in Denmark who feel the same. Like there should be no Photoshop on it all, and there's people who just want to like pretty much be made their cosplay in Photoshop. And I think that's important to remember, that that's okay to have those different kind of like needs for what you want to cosplay and how you want to cosplay. This just turned into a whole nother panel.
Yeah, it did. It did. But we still have time, so. Or maybe we should go over to audience questions, because we're not. We're out of slides because we talked about this already. We're out of slides. So please ask questions, have comments, anything. You can speak Finnish if you like. I can translate. I'm not that drunk.
And if there were any points in the previous slides that you want to go back to, that's okay as well.
Here you are. Actually, the platform for international collaboration is a thing I really do want to talk about.
What?
Now that I remember it, because it's kind of like when you meet people from different cosplay cultures at WCS, and you kind of look at your hobby from an entirely new point of view. I think it was an eye-opener for me, because I've been kind of in a cosplay slump for a while, because it's just, you make costumes alone in your room, and then you go to a place and feel uncomfortable and someone takes a picture. Hooray! But kind of meeting these international cosplayers and sort of experiencing their passion and their different ways of cosplaying, kind of, it's really inspiring. And it kind of, when you make friends internationally, people who kind of focus on different things, I'm convinced that when I'm making a skate, I sure as hell I'm going to email Samie about, please help me, tell me if this is any good. And it's kind of like you start exchanging notes in a way.
It's an eye-opener, like you get to look at new things. Like I remember being in Japan, standing there looking at the girl's uniform, being like, well, fuck, my cosplay is shit. I should not be here. Like, it's just different ways of doing it, and I kind of I hate to love it.
Yeah.
And you stand there and get a new way to do things.
Yeah, and I think you need to be really open-minded about it. It's not just with WCS, but with every international competition. You kind of can't go into a huge championship competition expecting it to be exactly the same as in your home country. Because we have this saying in the Finnish cosplay scene that the WCS prelims in Finland are the hardest part of the WCS. and the rest of it is just a holiday.
That is pretty much a saying in every
Yeah.
country. Like
Yeah.
if you win the prize to go to Japan, you've won already.
Yeah.
Because, well, again, because there's no chance of Denmark or Finland
Mhm.
ever winning the WCS, we don't care about that aspect in it. So the prize is really going
Yeah.
to the WCS and meeting people.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, in EC, NCC, ECG, everywhere,
There's
you
still
kind
a
of
competition there.
you kind of go there
Definitely.
thinking, wanting to actually do your best and possibly place.
Definitely.
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 You look like you have something to say.
Yeah, and I think that even if it sounds like we are all just dissing WCS and saying that it was shit and everything, I think all of us would go there again.
We
Now
would
that
totally
we know
go there
We will.
again.
Yeah.
I would do it again. Not necessarily for the third time, but a second time definitely.
So it's not because it scared of us off at all. It was good.
It was good. Please, comments, questions, experiences. Please tell me we're pretty.
Nothing.
We've been very thorough, I feel. Oh, yep.
Okay, so nobody's asking a question. So from what you were saying, I understand that for people used to the competition in their home country, if they want to actually aim to win an international competition, you actually have to play and prepare for it with a special formula for that particular competition.
Yeah,
Fit the
to some extent.
rules and schedule and kind of switch off the way you were doing for your home.
Pretty
and
much
no,
yes.
which is actually pretty interesting because we were talking about it last night. You have to some extent change what you did in your own country because you have to make it somewhat work for another culture. But at the same time, it's really important to keep it true to yourself and
Yeah.
what you want to do. For example, our skit at the WCH, what?
WCS.
Yeah, that thing.
Dancing Monkey Parade.
I don't like it because we were too focused on what does Japan want to see instead of what do we want to perform, which is sad in a way. but
Yeah. It's kind of, you need to find the sort of a
golden middle.
golden middle. But it's like, of course, I think it should be obvious that if you are participating in an international competition that is a final for something, then of course you have to plan your skit and your costume accordingly. You can't go to the Eurovision Song Contest, you know, singing evergreens. Well, you can, but you're probably not going to do very well. But basically, it's like with every hobby you have. You can't go to a huge sporting event going like, well, I'm going to take a jog around the neighborhood kind of thing.
Yeah. Again, it's also mostly about what you want to go for as a cosplayer. I know you don't have the ECG possibility as a Finnish cosplayer, but we can say, well, I would rather go for the CCAF thing in China because I want to do a great big show without having to focus on my costumes. Or I want to go to the EC because I really want to show, whoa, I'm good at costume making. Or the ECG, which is kind of like the mixture of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and about your cosplay, I think it has been okay. It's in Europe, so the difference between Europe and the Asian thoughts about cosplay are different. But in Euro cosplay, you can actually see that you can do well with that kind of skits that you are used to do in your home countries, because there are a lot of different kind of performances that I feel. I mean, I didn't place, but I was in top 10, and I think I did my performance just the way I wanted to, and I would have done it in Finland, and I was really good that it got me as far as it did.
I also think that ECC is the easiest competition for a Finn to attend because it's so costume oriented, and actually the only minus point I found from the performance part was that the time limit was 2 minutes, because every competition in Finland you actually have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So
We sort of had the same in Denmark. You had problems with only 1 minute actually being solo when you tried out for the ECG in Denmark.
Yeah, because when you're solo, we don't have many solos in Denmark, so you both participate in the EC preliminary and the ECG preliminary, and they have 2 different time limits.
So they've chosen to just say 1 minute because it's harder to like scale it down than put on extra.
And I got a little mad, but now they changed it to 1.5 minutes because I got mad. But yeah, it's kind of
Yoshu changing cosplay rules in 2013.
So, yeah.
Anything else? Is everyone nodding off, wanting to go to sleep, or to see the Ogata Megumi concert, which I want to see at least? Maiju, why are you wearing a toupee? Please. They're not the devil, but they're kind of quirky on the cosplay circles, I feel. I really can't explain it. I don't know.
This is Elina's area.
I don't know, I feel Brazil kind of has the cosplay idol mentality. Very strong cosplay idol mentality. But I feel the cosplayers don't live up to it. This is a personal opinion entirely right now. You can just throw rotten eggs at me if you disagree. But I think Brazil is kind of like the cosplayers tend to have big egos because they are cosplayers and don't really have any merit to sort of back that up. And even though Brazilians do make great costumes, they kind of get
Yes, yeah, and no. I
credit
just think
for
like the
weird
most
things.
eccentric ones are the one you see. Because
Yeah,
our
yeah.
year at the WCS were really quiet.
yeah, they were really sweet and they made really good costumes. But I feel it is often Brazilians who are the
Very
egomaniacs and,
flamboyant
sort of
and-
very flamboyant. And of course, this is yet again, it's an entirely different culture from ours, where they're
And
more
that's also
fiery.
actually
Yeah.
a pretty fun subject. How different you make cosplays in every
Mhm.
country. Because take Brazil and Italy and Thailand, who just have a sense that, well, this is a costume. I need to dip it in glitter, and now it's
Yes.
perfect.
And also maybe use vinyl and yeah.
Everything that kind of shines is
Yeah.
just
Oh.
in perfect.
like a disco ball.
So it's basically if the color matches, but it's glittery, so it's probably gonna be good. So yeah, it's from a weird personal experience. Please, Iris, hijack our panel again.
I don't need the mic, maybe. Basically,
I'll take the mic anyway. Basically, I think half of Brazil's reputation comes from the fact that they've actually won the WCS like 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Three.
Like the ones you've
Yeah,
heard
3.
about is
Yeah.
really what we
With the
can.
same.
Yeah. Basically 3 times and 2 times were the same pair. So it's a little bit of an in-joke with the WCS folk, maybe. So they're not the devil, but they're kind of like, haha, Brazil.
I hope they know they are the in-joke of the WCS gang, because it would be really embarrassing if they don't. Yeah. Anything else? Yep.
Are there any rules on costume reuses? I mean, can you present the same costume for several years or on the different competition levels?
It's different from every competition. I think, was it the ECG? There's a rule you're not allowed to use costumes from if you have been taking part of the WS, for instance. We were not allowed to use our WCS costumes on stage for the ECG. I think actually
At
every-
all?
at
Even
all.
on the walk-on bit?
Yeah, we could use that,
Yeah,
but not
okay.
for the
Yeah,
finals.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I think a lot of the bigger competitions go by that. They want to see something new
Yeah.
from you.
And it's a costume made for that competition. It's once again the PR aspect, kind of they want something unique that's made especially for
I'm not
them.
even I don't think the WCS would care actually.
They probably wouldn't. They wouldn't check. They probably would put it in the rules, but no one would
They
give a
wouldn't
crap.
check. No.
I'm sorry, we love the WCS. Yeah.
I might become one.
Yoshu will change the rules of the WCS by becoming angry. Any other questions? Should
Is
we?
there any questions about Danish cosplay scene or something?
If you seriously Google Danish or search
don't
them,
just Google Danish
don't
cosplay.
don't Google Danish cosplay. Danish cosplay skits from JPopCon 2013. I was there. I watched the rehearsals and I cried 5 seconds into the first skit and basically all throughout the rehearsals and then all throughout the actual competition because it was so amazing and it's so different from this what we do in Finland because it is so performance oriented and you guys are great. You look like you're about to cry. I want to make you
I'm
cry.
just thinking about the barfing dragon.
They
She's sitting there praising us, going like, "Yeah, so good." And during our skit, I broke the jaw on a dragon head, and it barfed the fire out. I was like, "Yeah, we're good. You should totally see it."
But you had a dragon that spat fire. That was actually also really awesome. The dragon was so good. It was so pretty. Whenever has a Finnish skit had a dragon spitting fire? Never. So there's like, okay, it can draw fire, but it's still a dragon.
If we had a dragon, it would have been invincible, and we would have fought against it like. Gang,
Yes.
gang, gang.
Yes, it would. Yeah, we fight a lot of invisible enemies in Finland. A lot. So many invisible
That's
enemies.
actually pretty good, because if you do that in Danish, get the the audience will be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, yeah.
To see something.
Yeah, they really want to have the stuff on stage, so we have to do a lot of stage props as well and prepare that. So making a freaking dragon head, like,
But it was also very nice. We're like, oh, something went wrong. Okay, we'll clap and cheer for the person. So very nice.
yeah,
Very
audience in
nice.
Denmark are incredibly nice. And
Yeah.
there's a question over here.
Our cliches are the invisible opponent and the stage death.
So many bad stage deaths.
So what are your cliches then in Denmark?
In the big international competitions, or in the
In general, I suppose.
in general?
I'm interested in both, knowing both of them.
International comments.
Yeah, being dramatic
Yeah.
is, but that's kind of a normal
Yeah.
thing, I think, on the cosplay scene. I think using funny music and doing a la-ti-da skit is really general in Denmark as well. I don't know, you were there. What did you see in general at the...
Fucking awesome skits. I mean, there were a couple of really dodgy, weird ones that I kind of felt right at home
But
watching.
we actually don't have a general thing. Like, if you take
Yeah.
a normal competition, there will be throughout one show one thing that goes through. Like, there is a trend for this show. Like, we had at GenkiCon, a convention last year, a lot of dancing skits, and then at JPOCon we had a lot of
I think
fighting skits, and it's usually like one trend per competition. Actually,
For some reason. Yeah.
I was wondering if you know how judges treat props, like stage props, because obviously it's quite a fine line between costume props and stage props.
It is.
And the line kind of blurs. For example, the winner of the Swedish cosplay championship, she made a whole weapon stand with a lot of weapons, and then she picked them up, and it was like part of her costume. And like you could either see that it's like part of the performance because it's stage props, but at the same time it's a work of art that they made that fit their costume.
I would say that if I, as a judge, would have to judge that, if you brought it as a judging criteria backstage, I would take it as part of your costume and judge it like that. And if not, I would judge it from my seat during the show and see how it worked there.
And usually in the bigger competitions, these stage props don't even, they're not a part of the judging scores. They kind of
They're not on the scores, but they
of course they affect how you view the performance. It's like even if you have a dummy on stage that you fight versus the magical invisible dragon, well, the dummy can be really stupid looking and ugly, but it's still something, physical. So
But it can also make it worse if it.
Yeah.
I think if a prop is there but it's not working, not in the sense that it has
It's like,
to do
don't-
something, but if it looks weird or out of place,
Yeah.
or it's not like. You need to put as much detail and attention to your stage props as to your costume, I think, because it really breaks the illusion when you're watching something and you can see a cardboard back to a mountain or whatever it is you're making.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think it's the old cinema rule. If you show a gun, use it. So if you have a stage prop, have a reason to have it there up on stage.
Not just fulfilling.
Not just, just don't bring stage props just for the sake of bringing stage props.
That would be a Danish general thing. We use stage props.
Actually,
is.
in ECC, the stage props are not actually part of the judging points unless you handle them. So they don't want to favor countries like who come from England
Yeah.
because they can bring like
They can bring
anything.
bigger stuff.
Yeah. So they're just not part of the
But it's
points.
the same with WCS actually. There's the rule between when something is a stage prop or a costume prop.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
And it
Yeah,
actually
if it's attached to a costume, like
it's a costume prop.
it's yeah.
It's like, and actually these stage props at WCS get really ridiculous, and they keep adding these rules year after year for the dimensions, how tall it can be, how wide it can be, how much it can weigh. Our stage props were
Yeah,
weighed
they were
at the
weighed
costume judging
At the costume judging.
because they can't be too heavy. So it kind of gives out the illusion that people actually go out to WCS with a, well, we have a truck that we're gonna put up on stage, and then there is an actual mountain. So, and flying Brazilians. Yet again, Brazilians.
Elina, the giant spider thing from our year, the metal.
Oh
spider
yeah, yeah.
robot.
Oh, that
Yeah,
one.
that was big.
Crazy things. WCS, the place where the crazy goes.
There was a motorbike. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's right.
Motorcycle on stage one year. Cloud Strife.
Ah, right. Yeah.
And I do think the weighing thing got in after that.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because there are, stage assistants that actually have to take the props up on the stage. So if there's a Harley Davidson here, who the hell wants to carry that?
Well, fun fact about the WCA stage, there's wind on the stage. So
Mhm.
a lot of backdrops gets knocked over.
Yeah, and also the first performances are at 5 p.m. when it's still light
They changed
out. When it's still light out. So if you come from Finland in the year 2012 and you have a performance entirely planned on the dramatic changes between dark and light, and you're performing at 5 p.m. when it's still light out where the stage is, it is going to suck. So it's kind of, there are a lot of variables at WCS that you don't even think about before you're there, and then you're basically just screwed.
There are a lot of things that go on. Like you're going on a red carpet in a red dress. A brilliant plan. With red hair.
Brilliant plan.
Nobody stopped me. Why?
I was on the red carpet in a white costume, and the red carpet reflected on the white costume, so it was a pink costume. So I was on a red carpet in a pink uniform, fake tan, and a purple wig. I was so pretty.
Basically, Finland was well represented.
Yes.
We're selling ourselves really well.
Yeah, and we're totally off topic again. Any other questions? I don't even know if we are supposed to quit yet. Yep.
Tai mun ymmärtääkseni Suomessa ne propit on aika pieniä sen takia, että jos ihmiset tekee ne itse ja kuljettaa jollain bussilla tyyliin kotipaikalle, miten tämä järjestetään sitten Tanskassa?
In Finland, stage props are really small because we have to, transport them on public transport, or basically we just don't really feel like doing humongous, huge ass things.
And we have long distances.
And what?
Long distances.
Long distances,
Oh.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, how do you transport your props in Denmark?
Well, Denmark is, first of all, smaller than Finland, so we don't have like the same amount of miles to go, but usually by car.
And have some good friends carrying
Yeah.
stuff for you and
Yeah.
make it able to that you can.
Whenever we do props, we try to figure out how we are going to like
Collect.
assemble it and make it so we can like take it in the transport. But usually we go by car. And again, with the Dragon Head, I borrowed my uncle's. He has a big ass car, and we borrowed that to have that in. And the day after, me and my partner again, we were performing with these cell bars. Those,
Yes.
which we had to transport as well, and we had to be there earlier Sunday morning to actually put them together. So it's about like thinking one step ahead. And like,
Yeah.
okay, so I want the Dragon Head. Okay, how am I going to get it there? Okay, so I have to be able to assemble it once there.
And then probably also trying out the assembling bit before the actual competition, so that things don't fall apart on the day.
We
So-
always have people who are running around screaming because their
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
fell apart backstage.
And it is yet again, if you YouTube JPopCon 2013, for example, the stage props are humongous. And I remember sitting there at like 7 a.m. watching people come in with stuff. It's like, is this, what are you
We had
gonna-
like, well, I think 2013 in Denmark was the prop year. We had
Yeah,
like
it
first
was
skit had a
huge.
bed,
yeah,
a
Good
bed, in it.
actual bed.
Had a cage.
There was a huge
There was
cage.
a huge cage which got thrown in the judge's head.
Yeah.
Uh, and they had like electroshock thingy and
Yeah.
I had the skeleton thing.
yeah,
You had a
whole
skeleton, and
backdrop.
on Sunday you guys had the
Oh, yeah.
table and a witches mixing pot and stuff. It's like these people are insane, and I love the creativity in Denmark because you can kind of have the simplest prop. Basically, you just have a board of wood as a table, but you dress it in a way that it looks freaking amazing. So it's that's kind of creativity that I kind of long for to see in a Finnish cosplay scene. Sort of kind of like go, well, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to give out the image that I'm trying to convey. You know.
We want it to look real. But on the other hand, we can learn from Finnish cosplay and step up our game on costume.
We can all learn from each other. That's the platform for international collaboration.
Yeah.
You make my skit.
Yeah, okay, and you'll make my costumes.
I won't make your costume, but you'll make my skit.
Then you won't get any skit.
Damn. We'll figure something out. Yeah. Anyone else have anything else, or are we just gonna let you go now? I think we're gonna let you go now. Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone,
coming.
for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.